What a dreary, cloudy day. But that's okay. You're not going to be hearing from me anyway. Instead, you're going to be hearing from my friend Corey, who recently streamed a Facebook Live, talking about some powerful things that happened to him and things that I thought would be helpful for the Road Talks Race audience to hear about.
My name is Corey Dupree. I am from Cambridge, Massachusetts originally. And then by way of the Milton Hershey School, I moseyed my way into central Pennsylvania. Yes, Tanya, I had Des today when I was subbing. And there we go, Danny. Yes, I got to bring the Eagles into this. We're not going to talk about basketball. We can talk about football. I attended Milton Hershey School and further my education at Penn State. Fast forward to where we're at now, I have a organization called the Layers of Black History event series. So we host events that are focused on creating educational platforms, but a lot of people don't even know where that came from and how that started. So those of you who don't know, it was the first summer post-COVID. I live in Palmyra, Pennsylvania. What I'm going to talk about today are two incidents that took place that pretty much got the ball rolling. The first incident is the genesis of my foundation and my mission. I had taken Corey and Mariah, who were 8 and 5 at the time, to a local playground. And while I was at the playground, I always have headphones on. Anybody who knows me knows I'm always going to have my headphones on. And I do that, one, because they're also like a security blanket. But two, because I don't got to hear anything else, right? I don't have to be engaged with anybody else. So as my kids were going around at the playground at Fireman's Park in Palmyra, first time around, Corey had fallen off his bike. And there were some middle school kids who were off to the side, and they had said something along the lines of like, Corey. So I took my earpiece off and was just like, all right. I'm like, Corey, what? Are you trying to figure out, make sure everything's kosher? Went into dad mode, coach mode. They were all like, no, nothing. We didn't say anything. So they went around the park again. And that second lap around, one of the kids, and there were about 6 of them, and they were all white, had yelled out and called us niggers. And at that moment, I had to sit back and assess the situation. But first, you could imagine the anger that I felt, the frustration that I felt. I'm gonna get mad right now just thinking about it. And I addressed the kids. So I walked up to them, I yelled, I went to dad mode, coach mode, and sat back and was like, do you even understand why that word is hurtful? To go ahead and randomly call people that you don't know the N-word. And do you think they do it because they think you can't hear them? And that's part of the thing, Matt. So I'd asked the kids where they'd heard that word, and they were 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and one of them was actually my neighbor. And it had to be a dare, right? So one of them had dared one of the kids to say it. And they had explained they hear their siblings say it. They had explained they hear their parents say it. So it's learned behavior. At this point, I have to go and look at this. How do I turn this into a teachable moment? Because it can go ahead and get to the point where I'm viewed as the angry black man who's yelling at these kids in the park. And I couldn't be portrayed that way. My kids had never heard me yell that loud. My neighbor had never seen me that angry. So I sat down and just spoke to the kids and had to go and fully explain to them what racism was, and not only what racism was, but why their words were hurtful. I also had to go ahead and break down, just at the very base level, what does diversity mean? And do you understand what that meant? So I move in manners that are similar to Trojan horse. And I know that the only way to unlearn some of those behavior is by introducing different methodologies and kind of attacking the issue at the very basic roots. So I started with the mission, reached out to some of my friends, to my cousin, and said, yo, Jonna, who hosts Black History Facts every single year for the past, I'm gonna say like 7 or 8 years, on her social media page. Um, and Matt says it's sad people will say things in their home that they would never say in fear of losing their jobs and so forth. And that's why what you do, Matt, is so important, right? And the Channel 5 Ratchet News exposing the truths. And that's why these conversations are extremely important to have. Um, so I made it a mission. I'm like, all right, how do we go ahead and like uproot this issue? How do we get to the bottom of this? So I decided to go ahead, let's have an event. Let's try and get at least 10 books into each building inside of the school district. So there are 6 schools inside of my school district. I thought to the point of getting 10 books into each school. So from December to February, when we hosted our inaugural Layers of Black History Gala, we were able to get not just 60 books, but we were able to get well over 300 books donated into the school district. So that's the genesis of how a lot of this all started, and how things got rocking and rolling. And that brings me to where we're at now, and what took place last week. Um, My brother Brian says it's hard to not also blame the children for being accountable in this day and age where a 10-year-old can buy his own shoes, buy his own VC online. He could go on their own, so they should be accountable for their actions. I completely agree. Unfortunately, it's comes down to the fact that Black and brown individuals have to go the route of being the educators, and not going ahead and being the aggressors, especially when you live in a small town such as the one that I do, and Clifton, where you say this is why that scene in Black Panther was so powerful when he wanted to kill Klaus, and then she saw all the people watching him. He knew he couldn't because he would be viewed that way publicly. So taking just the movie scene that all kids have been able to see and all adults, and then being able to compare it to something now. Um, so fast forward, that's where the Layers of Black History event series came from. We host events year round in Pennsylvania, launching in Cambridge, Massachusetts, DC, and have over in 18 months donated over 3,200 books, and was challenged in the next 18 months to go ahead and donate to double that number, so 6,400 books. So I'll go ahead and talk about that in a little bit. But for those who don't know, or don't follow us on Instagram, please do. It's Layers of Black History. On that Instagram page, you will see everything a lot of what we've done in the past 8 months from when we built the Instagram page. In July, I had partnered with a coffee shop. Yes, 10,000 books. That's it. And we got, in the past month since Jason gave me that challenge, we've received 3,200 books. So in 17 months, I can only imagine however many more we're going to go ahead and get.